it's Sean Kevelighan again, CEO of the III, the Insurance Information Institute. I'm here today with the Chief Executive Officer of Crawford and Company, Rohit Verma. Rohit, welcome. How are you today?
Sean, great to be with you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Always great to see you and always great to be with a former colleague. So good to be here. Want to talk today a little bit about, and you and I have talked about it in other discussions, about digital and what it's doing as far as claims and the process of claims. How do you see that journey happening in terms of the customer journey as well when we're talking about digitalization?
Sean, today digital is in every aspect of what we do in our lives. You can order food digitally. You can deposit a check digitally. You can buy a ticket digitally. You can do pretty much everything, every aspect of your life digitally. So why not insurance? And I firmly believe that we in the insurance industry have sort of lagged in the digital journey. And now, because digital has become so important in every aspect of our life, that policyholders, claimants, customers, they expect the same kind of service, the same kind of customer journey in their insurance products than what they expect in other products that they buy today. So I just think that we're part of the ecosystem and have to conform to that ecosystem.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I like to say people have gotten Amazoned, and as a result of that, you know, they think about that same type of experience with their insurer too. They want that. So, you know, going a little bit back, and I think the industry's kind of past this about, you know, innovation being a threat or an opportunity to the industry. They talk a little bit about whether or not, you know, digital will go so far as to eliminate the likes of a role of an adjuster. What's your perspective on that?
So look, there's been a lot of discussion that has happened on that. There was also a discussion about, will digital eliminate the role of an underwriter? Look, I firmly believe that the role of an adjuster is not going to get eliminated. Claim is a very emotional experience. When someone experiences a claim, they're probably having one of the worst days of their lives. And I'm not talking about someone, you know, losing their iPhone or their camera or something. I'm talking about someone having damage to their home, damage to their car, God forbid, getting injured. I mean, imagine, I was talking to a claimant once who said that you know, their house got flooded and they lost every picture that they had of their kids, every baby picture of their kids. I mean, that's just not a loss that you can even quantify. Right. And so I believe that these are emotional experiences. And while you want technology to help make the process more efficient, help make the process better, you still need a human touch when you're dealing with these situations. And maybe technology will get advanced so much that one day the computer will show us empathy. But I think that, you know, when your roof is gone and there's water coming into a house, you need someone who puts an arm around your shoulder and says, "Don't worry, we'll take care of this." And those words matter. And I just don't think that an AI machine can do that.
Well, I agree. I mean, we talk a lot about human-centered innovation, and I think we have to realize that there's a human that's part of this, and with that are going to be emotions. So very interesting. What do you think in terms of obstacles in the claims sector that are going to happen as a result of this digitalization work?
I think the biggest obstacle is, you know, we are a traditional industry. We are an industry which is born in tradition. I mean, just imagine how insurance was done 300 years ago, when the ships first sailed out of London and started getting insured. So we are an industry which is really deep in tradition. We're also an industry which frankly is not made up of digital natives. Most of the people in this industry, a vast percentage, if you look at the average age in our industry, it's much higher than some of the other industries that you're dealing with today. So I think our biggest obstacle is going to be mindsets. Our biggest obstacle is going to be, do we approach problems with a viewpoint of how do we solve them digitally, or do we approach them on how we solve them traditionally? To me, that is the biggest obstacle. I think that we are on the precipice of a major talent departure from our industry, as we all know that the percentage of insurance colleagues who are eligible to retire this year is less than what it is going to be next year, and is growing pretty much exponentially. And I don't think that we can make up for that talent in any quick way. And I think technology will end up being our savior. So if we don't adapt technology and become more efficient and figure out ways in which getting files handled, whether it's underwriting or claims, in a much more efficient way using technology, I just think that we're going to have a major problem at our hands.
Speaking of obstacles and speaking of COVID, how did COVID, in your mind, impact the claims and adjustment world?
Look, we at Crawford feel very proud that we've always prioritized the health and safety and well-being of our employees as number one, and I think it got further accentuated during the pandemic. So we were very quick to provide our people with PPE. We were very quick to move our people out of the offices. The most interesting thing for me was that the adoption rate of digital approaches of technology just shot up completely. Things that could not be done, things that were done in person could not be done in person anymore, and you had to find a virtual way of doing that. Now, we didn't stop inspections that we had to get done. We didn't stop taking care of our claimants who needed medical attention, where a nurse had to accompany them for their treatments. We didn't stop any of that, and that's the reason why we provided PPE. But we did try to see what are the things that could be done virtually. Just a simple thing, we have a self-service app, which had probably a 7 to 10% adoption rate. Within the first 3 months, that adoption rate went up from 7 to 10% to about 35 to 40%.
Wow.
And that was great to see. So I think that the pandemic has been the necessary catalyst. I think we all know that change happens when there's a catalyst. I think the pandemic has been a very interesting catalyst to accelerate the change towards digital.
So absolutely, I think we've been hearing a lot that says we've advanced 10 years in one from an innovation standpoint in this industry, which to your point was much needed. What about now, 3-5 years out? Where do you see this journey in terms of digitalization taking us in the industry?
I think we're going to see an acceleration of that. I think as the industry starts to see the benefit, I think digitization will get on a flywheel for our industry. Just take a look at the InsurTech. I think the first InsurTech conference happened 4 years ago. There were probably a few hundred attendees. And right now, if you look at the InsurTech conference that just ended in October, there were thousands of attendees. So it has just astronomically jumped. If you look at the percentage of investment that's happening now on the InsurTech side, particularly in claims, it's is now taking close to 50 to 60% of the total dollars, as opposed to it was taking 5 to 10% of the dollars earlier, because most of the investment was happening in the distribution space. So I think that you're going to see an acceleration of digitization. You will continue to see new entrants that are going to come in on the digitization front. I think the challenge that you will see is that a lot of these new entrants that will come in, scale will matter, because you can introduce new technology, but if you can't scale it, it's hard to make it economically feasible. So I think they will end up either partnering or some form of integration with the larger providers of insurance in the future. But I think that we will continue to see this sort of tech and digital revolution in the industry going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I was at InsurTech Connect. It was so far the most highly attended event that I've been at least. I was proud that we got a couple hundred people even to our panel discussion. But just wrapping it up, I always give our guests an opportunity to ask me something if they like, kind of, hit me wherever you want. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. One thing that has been on my mind is the whole climate change piece. I think we've seen that every event that we've had over the last 2 to 3 years has been viewed as, a 100-year event, a 50-year event. And the frequency of those 100-year events have definitely increased. But there's still, I think, multiple schools of thought. I think there is one group of people who actually truly believe that climate change is happening, are willing to make changes, are willing to make investments. You've got a group of people that certainly see that the catastrophes and the disasters are becoming a lot more expensive and a lot bigger. But they're still not sure if that is just a phenomenon that's always existed, but just the news is making it bigger. And then you've got a third group, it just does not believe in it at all. Mm-hmm. Where do you see this population, right? Do you see it as a third, or do you see that different? And then where do you think the focus should be? Do you move the people who don't believe in it towards a wait and see, or do you take the wait and see people and move them into the I firmly believe category?
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, our industry, as you well know, focuses on risk. And when you talk about climate risk, it's something that we've been dealing with for a long time. You go back to just the loss costs from the 80s. They've gone up nearly 700%. You've seen record years. Not 8 of the top 10 in terms of loss cost record years happened in the 2000s. The other 2 happened in the 90s.
Right.
So we're seeing those losses happen. But what that story is also telling is that this risk transfer is only going to be able to go so far.
Right.
Before we need to help people better understand about their behaviors, about where they're living, even about public policies and how we need to do that. Because to your point, I don't think anybody's going to be able to miss the fact that there's change happening in terms of severity of our industry, at least. And more and more people are living in harm's way. We've got more and more people living in these areas, Southern Florida, Central Texas,
Right.
Southern California. There's been some great documentaries of late, and I'm really happy to see those because we need to draw attention that people need to understand. And our industry is one where we're changing as well. So we're not just detecting and repairing, and I think you've made this point, but we're actually figuring out how to better predict and then prevent it, so that it's a better experience for our customer as well as just our own bottom line in the industry. So I see our industry even making a big shift. I'm excited because our industry is in a great point to lead, because there are risks out there. They're increasing. And if we can help our customers and our public policymakers understand that behaviors need to change, we've been focusing on that quite a bit. That's the whole point of our Resilience Accelerator at the III is visualizing some of these changes that are happening so that people understand more needs to be done than simply buying more insurance. We've got to make some changes in the way we're living and we're working. But you're going to see a lot of people predict, trillions in investments and in innovation, and I think insurance stands to gain quite a bit from those investments. So I do look forward to finding more ways that the insurance industry can help lead this community and society to be more resilient through climate change.
Absolutely, and I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job in creating awareness across the industry around what's happening and what some of the leading companies are doing to build resilience, to do a better job at restoring. So really great work on that. So congratulations to you for all the work that III is driving.
Hey, thanks a lot. Well, thank you. You're always supportive of us. It's always great to see you, Rohit. Really appreciate your perspective on these important issues today. Thanks a lot. And thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me on the show.